Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to my channel. My name's Amina, and if you are new here, I'd love it if you could press the subscribe button to see more from me. Today I'm doing something a bit different. I can't remember who it was. It was a couple of weeks ago. I saw a video on YouTube about jobs that I have done, and I thought it was really cool. And it kind of made me think about what I've done as well up to this point. I'll be completely honest, this video might be 2 minutes because I really haven't worked that much, but I did think it would be interesting to share with you what I've done in the past and like my reasoning for it, because I never just did a job just for the sake of it or just like to make money. I always kind of had meaning and like reasoning, I guess, behind why I applied for a particular job. So hopefully if you're someone who's like 15, 16, 17 and you're thinking about what jobs you can do, then this might be useful for you if you're interested to see what I got up to in my youth. So yeah, keep on watching if you want to see more from me. I film every Wednesday and Sunday, so if you want to see more from me, don't forget to press the subscribe button, and I will see you in future videos too. So let me just put this into context. I'm the eldest child. I'm the eldest of 5 and I'm a girl. So you can only imagine that everything was 10,000 times stricter on me than it was on anyone else younger than me, because I had to, you know, eldest child syndrome, whatever. It is what it is. So when I turned 16 or 17, I think, like most of my friends had jobs already. They were working retail for the most part. I wasn't allowed. My parents were like, you don't need money. If you need anything, ask us. Just like focus on your stuff. Like everything for them, everything was like education. So if anything that would detract from my education, they wouldn't allow me to do it. So it was like, no, you don't need to work. You work in the future, blah, blah. Anyway, then I was planning on, or I had thought I was going to apply for medicine. So for medicine, you need to have experience in the medical field. You need some sort of work experience that you can relate to medicine. So yeah, I was looking for like a care home job, and I was in first year, sixth form. This is before I decided that I wasn't going to apply. And people were like applying for jobs in hospitals and things like that. And I just phoned every care home in my area. So I live in East London. So I kind of like phoned every care home in like Stratford, in Leighton, Walthamstow, like that kind of area. So ended up finding a care home that accepted me in Leighton, and it was a voluntary position, and I started off there. And then they offered me a job. So I was like 17 or 18, I think. My dad came with me, and then they offered me a job. They were like, if you want to, you can continue working here on the weekends and we'll pay you like, I think it was like £6 an hour or something, like whatever the minimum wage was. And I was like, yeah, cool, whatever. It was so for me at the time, I didn't think I was going to be allowed to work or even be able to find a job. So it was so cool that I was able to find a job and get paid in the field that I wanted to. And I knew that when I was going to apply for medicine, I would be able to use that as work experience. So it was actually a care home for individuals that have mental health needs. So they might have come out of like hospital or released from sectioning or any sort of episode that they had to do with mental health. And then rather than kind of returning them into the main world, independent straight away, they kind of put them in this like, I guess like a halfway, it's sort of semi-independence. They're aged between 18 and 60. So they're not like, you know, they're not old or anything like that. There were some that were in their early 20s, early 30s, and we don't do anything for them. So it's independent, but we are there to look after them. So for example, if they get money, if they get their benefits come through, we will help them budget. So we'll, for example, tell them not to go to a betting store and like spend all their money, or we'll stop them from like buying cigarettes all the time. So we did have some sort of limitations on them, but it was not like, you know, cleaning and cooking for them. They did everything themselves. So it was quite a nice like balance where you're just kind of looking after them more mentally as a friend, helping them with medication, reminding them for the timings, waking them up in the morning, but you'd never like wash them or you'd never do anything like that because that's not your job. So it was nice. It meant that I was able to get experience, but then I decided that I wasn't going to go for medicine. But I continued on working there, and I think I worked there until I was maybe second year uni. So I was only doing 1 day a week. So I think it was every Saturday. The shifts were really long. They were like from, I think it was 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. So 8 to 3 on a Saturday morning, it was killer. Or it was in the evening. I think it was like 3 to 10 or something. So yeah, they were like really long shifts. I think it was a really good experience for me, and also opened the door for my parents to be a bit more comfortable with like us working. And after that, like my siblings, my sisters and my brother have all worked. My parents have no issue with that at all, because they obviously understand the value of it, and I think it's really important to make your own money. Even though I spent my first paycheck on hair straighteners, yeah, that was something. And then I left. I don't know why I left. And then at 21 or 22, I did like kind of a few odd jobs. And never after that, I don't think I ever had like a full-on job after that, like the way that I had with the care home where I was employed and I had shift. I never had a shift or job after that again. I purely just did odd things here and there, because I think I realized that I didn't like the commitment, especially as a student. I think for me it was quite heavy having to dedicate every Saturday or every Sunday to it. And I appreciate that some people, you know, obviously need to do that to supplement their finances, but for me it wasn't necessary. So I feel like at the time I was a bit like, you know, I'd rather just have a job where it's only in a summer holiday, or like only a certain couple of days or a certain amount of time, or freelancing or consulting or working at my own pace or online, rather than every single Saturday like this is my shift and I have to go. That was the only shift job that I ever had. And then I started doing, so between the ages of like 21 to I think 23, I did a few like odd things here and there. So I did invigilating for medical students at Imperial, because I was at Imperial myself doing a master's. I think I came across this job and it was invigilating. So during the whole exam season, I would go to the exam hall, I would go there and just invigilate medical students basically. And I was there for their last exam, which was really, really cool. It was so nice. I felt so jealous. Like I was like, that feeling they must feel like euphoric. It was their last exam of medical school. They were in year 6. They must have been older than me at the time, yeah. So they were in year 6 and that was their last exam and they all just were like, ah. And I could only imagine the feeling of how they felt after 6 years of med school. That's the last exam. And I think they knew they passed as well, because that was like an exam that didn't change their grade or something. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, that was such a nice feeling to be there for them. So yeah, I did that. I also did like tuition. I'm sure most students have done some sort of tuition before. Again, you know, when I decided on what jobs I wanted to do, I always had in mind, I wouldn't recommend this, but I always thought, how could the skills I gain help me? So if I do want to apply for a PhD, how can the skills I gain help me? If I want to apply for a job, how can the skills I gain help me? You know, I wouldn't just go and apply for a random retail job that I don't feel like would give me the skills that I needed, even though I think obviously they do. They give me a lot of resilience and customer service, etc. But for me, like that at the time, I didn't see those jobs as giving me experience. Rather, I just saw them as stressful, to be completely honest. Like everyone that I knew that worked in like Primark or Next or M&S, whatever, they hated every weekend. They absolutely hated it. And I wanted to have a job that I didn't hate, but rather I knew that I was gaining something from, not just financial. Now, tuition, if you don't know, is such a lucrative business. Well, business, I guess, sector. There are people, parents, families that will pay like £100 an hour for you to tutor their child. And at 21, 22, 23, that is a lot of money to make. And I know people that have paid their tuition fees for university, 9 grand fees, off of just tutoring other students. So it's definitely something to look into. I think the best way to do this is and I'll try to find websites that I did apply for, but I ended up getting one that was, I think like £70 an hour or something, but it was a bit far away, so you have to kind of factor in your travel time as well. So you're traveling there, that's an hour, then you're teaching, prep time, marking time, whatever, and then you're coming back. So even though it's £70 for the hour, when you divide it by 3 hours, it's not a huge amount. But still, I mean, if you've got spare time and your course is like 3 days or 4 days a week, or you want to use your weekends, then definitely go for it. So there are loads of websites that are for parents that want to pay a bit more. Otherwise, I think the standard is sort of like £15-20 an hour, especially if you work in a tuition centre. You'll have a group of students and you're paid about £15-20 an hour. So it does depend, I guess, on sort of what you end up finding. The difference in pay can be quite stark, so do look it up and do think about what market you want to go for. Then I think I was like 23. I was definitely in my PhD. I found a proofreading job, which I thought was interesting at the time, just because I was working from home. I didn't have to travel anywhere, and I kind of could work at my own pace. And it was something that I knew that I was good at anyway. So just taking a bit of work and just fixing the English and giving some feedback was for me quite simple. And you get paid for that job, it was paid per 1,000 words. For every 1,000 words, I think it was paid £7 for every 1,000 words. And I now pay my page doctors double that. I just feel like they're PhDs and they're definitely worth a lot more. And obviously I want to value them as well. But they used to pay me £6 for every 1,000 words. So if I took 2 hours to do 1,000 words, then that would be £6 for 2 hours. But the more I did it, the faster I got. So I was able to do maybe 2,000 words in half an hour. So it ended up being worthwhile, but it does take a lot of practice. And I notice it with my editors as well. When I get them, they're all really good, of course, but I can see like as time goes, they are more particular in their editing and they get a lot better, which comes with practice. A lot of people ask me like, how can I get good at proofreading? Like honestly, it's just practice. I worked for a company called Professor and yeah, they were decent. I mean, if you want to work for them, then do send them an email. I think they have like a join me or join us link. And I think the minimum requirement you have to have is native English and I believe a degree, an undergraduate degree. I can't remember, but it was fine. But the pay is really, really low. And like I said, if you take longer to do it, then you obviously get a much lower pay than you would in, let's say, retail, where it's £6 an hour whether you stack shelves or not. And then I finished my PhD, and I'm talking about jobs where I actually was paid as a worker as opposed to PhD where I was paid as like a studentship. When I graduated at 25, I then went into a blended teaching research role, and essentially gave me a qualification where I'm able to teach in secondary school, I'm able to teach at university. I also could continue on with my research. So I had half the week where I could do research, the other half where I could teach, which was amazing because it gave me the ability to kind of decide what side I want to fall in. It's a 3-year scheme, and and at the end of it I kind of decided that I definitely want to continue teaching, but not necessarily in the kind of traditional role. I think I want to produce more sort of courses, sort of short-term teaching, and I want to maybe try to pivot a bit more into like postgraduate university teaching more than sort of secondary in between adolescent kind of teaching as well. So I'm interested in at the moment, and also interested in like policy and working in that sector too, which my experience gives me lots of background and skills to be able to do, and that's sort of what I've been doing since graduating. And then on top of that, I wouldn't call this a job, but I've got like 5 or 6 streams of income right now, so that's been quite nice to be able to work for myself essentially, which is always nice to have that independence. I now have my 9 to 5 Monday to Friday job, and that's like fixed, you know, that's a fixed salary, and that's nice. That comes every month and I'm happy with that. That's more than enough. But then on top of that, there's YouTube AdSense, which is ads for every time I post a video, and then there's sponsorships. When I do have sponsorships on the rare occasion, those are paid for as well. And then there's a page doctor, which of course is doing amazingly. And then there are like odd things that I've been winning at the same time, so the YouTube Black Award that I won recently, and other jobs that I've been doing, courses, my Skillshare course every single month now. I don't do a single thing to it, but it pays every single month really, really well. And then things like I might give a talk or a speech or get invited to give talks at least a couple times in a month, and they're all paid for as well. So they're all streams of income that add up, and now I think I'm more comfortable to leave the standard 9 to 5 because I'm more than happy with where it's going. But yeah, my job history isn't that wild, like it really isn't. It's quite, I do wish I had worked a lot more, and I do wish that I had widened my horizons as to what I did. I think I kept it quite safe with academic, like educational type of jobs, and I think had I looked back, I would have definitely tried to apply for things that would have got me out of the box and experience different avenues. Maybe I would have discovered something that I would have loved that I wouldn't have known otherwise. So I do recommend, like, if you're someone who's young and thinking about like what to do in the future, don't just focus on experience that's going to help you get that particular course. Think about widening your horizons, think about widening your skills, think about widening your capabilities. Don't just think about, can I do this one thing, because then you'll kind of get stuck in that box. For example, I wish I did like a banking apprenticeship or internship during one of my summer holidays. I think that would have been so cool, but at the time I was like, I'm not going to go into banking or finance. But looking at it now, I think it would have been really interesting to see what that would have been like and to have had the experience. So never reject anything, and don't think that something isn't relevant to you, because you will always gain skills from any experience that you have. And I think it's really important to try and get as much experience as possible to be able to widen your horizons and be able to say that you've tried it at least. But yeah, I hope that was interesting. I mean, I don't know, I thought it would be interesting to see what I've done and how I ended up where I am. Let me know what your highlight is in terms of like a job that you did that you never thought that you would do, or that you ended up changing your life in your direction for your goals and stuff. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to see more from me, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.